Welcome to Intermediate Blending, a follow-up series to Beginning to Blend. I'm JoRaSe, your host for this series, just like the last. Now, let's delve in and begin. Alright, so we're going to get started with the arm animation model, and obviously the animation that goes along with that model. So let's make sure we've got Blender fired up, which we do. And let's go ahead and get our backface culling option selected. Go ahead and turn on screencast keys and load in our background image. Get that loaded in, and using the 3 key and the 5 key on the numpad, we're going to get into the right view so we can actually see the reference image. Now let's move the center point here to where it should be on the arm model, which is toward the shoulder. And now we can delete, what am I doing? Delete the entire cube, because we're going to set that up in a moment. Now we want to add in a cylinder, and we want to take the number of vertices from 32 to 12. And under cap fill type, we do not want anything, so it needs to go from n-gone to nothing. Hit the R key on the keyboard and then 90 on the numpad to rotate it. And now move it down into position like so. The origin point, we also want to get that set up. So let's move the entire thing over. Still in object mode, and now we can tab into edit mode. Move the cylinder back. All of this is useful stuff if you're doing a more complex model, because you want that center point, which is basically the center of mass for your object, to be at the center of mass. And for an arm, the center of mass is usually in towards the body. It's not out near the elbow. Because we don't just have arms lying about doing their thing. We've got bodies with arms attached to them, but not just arms. So now we want to scale it out on the y-axis to where it just about reaches both ends, like so. Let's hit the Z key to go into Wireframe, and on the Tools menu we want to add in some loop cut and slides, so we're going to add in about 5. So now that we've got that, we want to go ahead and get things positioned where they should be first. So just kind of move them around. Once we get them moved closer to the final positions, then we'll scale them down. But we just want to follow the general shape of the background image. So something like that. Now we want to go ahead and scale them down appropriately and get them moved over as needed. And if you want, rotate them to make them fit better. I'm going to, but I will leave that up to you. Right in here, we need to add another loop cut, making sure it is straight up and down, and pull it over close to the middle loop cut. And the same thing over here on this side. About right there. Scale this one in, of course. This one looks okay. Scale this in. And this one. And over here, scale this in as well, and go ahead and rotate it. Add in at least one more here. I'm gonna put in 2 just to be sure. There we go. So there is our arm. Let's fix it from this angle because that doesn't look like an arm very much. So we'll just make sure we're in top view with the 7 key on the numpad. And we want to more or less scale the entire thing on the x-axis after we get a few of these more in line with the elbow. So we're going to scale them down. And that looks pretty good to me. But probably scale the entire thing in just a bit more on the x-axis. So there we go. We have an arm. Now to actually animate the first method, which is called a vertex-animation. It's a more or less a legacy animation method that was used before armatures and rigging came into being for 3D modeling. And in Blender, you have to go and activate it. It's an add-on. So to get the add-on, you go to User Preferences, Add-ons, Animation, and you want Animation Anim All. Make sure there's a check mark there. And if we go to Animation here on the left, we'll see we now have all these options. And we want points. So we're going to go into wireframe mode now and select everything. And that's not what I meant to do. We want to go ahead and add in edit mode, not object. We want to insert a keyframe for the very start. So we've inserted one keyframe. Now we're going to advance it to frame 50. Deselect everything, grab the first, or grab these, which would be the forearm, and we want to rotate them like so, and now we need to move them back into position, like so. Now select everything, and we want to insert another keyframe. So that's done. Now we can advance another 50 right here. And let's deselect everything again, select the vertices we want to rotate again, and rotate them like so. Pulling them back into position, getting them realigned with the background image. Like so. Add in our final keyframe. And now, if we hit the Tab key to go into object mode, and let's go ahead and jump all the way to the first frame. And right here where it says end on the bottom, we want to change that to 100. So we're only dealing with 100 animation frames, not 250. If we now hit the play button, we can see the arm bending. And let's go into shaded view. So there's our legacy method of a bending arm. You'll notice the slight jerk at the last, where it resets back to the first frame. That's part of the problem with animating in this method, and it's why a lot of the newer animations are done using armatures, because it's easier to make sure it's back at its home position. That's all for this session of Polygonal Art with JoRaSe. If you enjoyed what you saw, how about giving this video a thumbs up? And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss out on future videos from me. In the video description below, you'll find my Patreon link. Feel free to check it out. Now, on to the credits.